So we did the Galaxy S23 Ultra the other day. Now we're going to cover the Galaxy S23. This is a nighttime video sample right here. Let me know your thoughts on it, and let's get into this full in-depth review of the Galaxy S23.
So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my Samsung Galaxy S23 for review. Now, if you have noticed, I've been slowing down a little bit on the videos because I've been taking the time to actually use these Galaxy phones, and next up will be the Galaxy S23 Plus. But the Galaxy S23 is up to bat today. Now, some key specifications to keep in mind here. You do get a 6.1-inch OLED display. It's a dynamic 2X. It does have 1080p resolution by 2340, but I'm explaining to you why that doesn't really matter too much, that it's not a 2K resolution. It does have a triple camera with a main 50 megapixel sensor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and a 3900 milliamp hour battery, which is actually quite sizable for this size and actually up from last year, which I complained about quite a bit with the battery life last year. So the first thing I want to really go in depth on is the build and the design. So the Galaxy S23 is the smallest of the lineup here, and it's going to probably be the second most popular next to the S23 Ultra. That middle phone, the S23 Plus, is going to be unique for some people, but I think this will be the second most popular. This one is 168 grams, so quite light and feels very good in the hand. Also, this phone is quite thin as well, coming in only 7.6 millimeters thick. You can see they do have the volume markers right here, power button right there. It rests in a pretty good location. And at the bottom, you're going to find yourself the USB-C SIM card tray, as well as a speaker grill, and speakers also up here. Infinity O display. And up here, you'll find yourself an antenna band, and then on the side as well. Just a very clean, symmetrical design. I really do like how the camera just kind of goes straight down. There's no big notches or any blotches or anything like that on the back or the front. Just a very clean, simple design. I think this is probably one of the best looking phones on the market, if I'm being quite honest with you. Now, what I really like is that it has Armor aluminum, and it's also very non-fingerprinty on the back due to this glass. It's just a clean, high-end build. I will say that the sides, and because of the weight, it doesn't feel quite as premium as something like the Ultra, but I really appreciate that weight when I'm out and about using this phone. I mean, this phone feels so comfortable to use every day. It's super ergonomic, and while it's not quite as narrow as the older S20, I think it was the S20 or S21, one of those phones was more narrow than this phone. I like the width because it gives you more of a sizable display on this size of a screen. Now, also, one thing I really enjoy about this phone is the ultra thin bezels on here. This phone literally feels like you're using almost a full screen in your hand, sans the Infinity O, but the overall panel, it just feels super thin bezels, and I really like that. It's a really nice experience. Also, having IP68 dust and water resistance on here makes this quite a dream to use as well, in terms of not really being too worried about it. So overall, the Galaxy S23 is just a stunner, I think, in terms of build, body, design. At $799, it definitely feels worth it. I mean, especially when you consider that I think the iPhone 14 Pro at $200 more feels quite similar to this. I think you're getting a good value with the standard S23. Now, I do have the green colorway. This does come in quite a few colors, including, lavender. It has a phantom black color, and this green. Also, you have a graphite, a lime you can get custom, cream, and yeah, so quite a few color options here for this phone. Okay, guys, so let's take it on to the display of the Galaxy S23. Now, I'll tell you right now that the display is not as sharp as the S23 Ultra. However, I don't really notice it too much when I'm not paying attention. It's still a very vibrant panel. It gets incredibly bright. It still has the extra brightness mode. And honestly, I like how Samsung is not really giving you that much of a watered down version. Yeah, it's not 2K, but that helps in the battery life on this size of a device. So it's not a big deal. Also, the adaptive smoothness here at the same price as an iPhone 14 offers great value, because now you're getting a super smooth panel and you're paying the same price as a 60 hertz iPhone 14. So definitely, I do think this is better value with the display. Also, you do have a vivid mode and a natural mode, and of course dark mode, but one of the big features I've been using is the new enhanced comfort mode. So if we go into iComfort Shield and you scroll down here, you'll find a mode that says enhanced comfort. Now when turning this on, it specifically tones down that ultra vibrant saturated eye searing color at nighttime. And you could even use it during the day if you just don't want to look at that. And honestly, this feature has been a game changer for me so far. It just really makes the whole screen just a lot more comfortable to look at for extended periods of time. So unlike just their adaptive iComfort Shield here, the enhanced comfort mode is a big deal, I think, for Samsung displays because they're usually a little bit too vibrant, a little bit oversaturated, and even with the iComfort Shield, they pop a little bit too much. So that enhanced comfort mode for me has been game changing. I really enjoy using it, especially at nighttime. Now the display also has a really smooth refresh rate, we know that, but because they have One UI 5.1 and the Galaxy Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip, I've been getting buttery smooth performance on here. The best performance I've seen on a Samsung phone yet, that it goes for the S23 Ultra as well. I haven't really noticed any slowdowns, even with this having 8 gigs of RAM. So I think the 12 gigs of RAM in the S23 Ultra is just kind of added throw on just to give you even more power. This one has performed flawlessly. There's not a single issue with day-to-day performance on this phone in my experience. So if you are planning on picking this one up and you're a little bit worried, no 12 gigs, is that going to last into the future? Absolutely. This phone is super powerful. It's probably a little bit overpowered, to be honest. So yeah, the dynamic AMOLED 2x 1750 nit display on the Galaxy S23 is incredible. Also, you can go ahead and rotate this home screen if you want to do that. Turn it into a little tablet. Let's go ahead and put on auto rotate. You can go ahead and turn it into a little tablet. So that's pretty cool as well. So, I mean, it just takes advantage. And then, of course, this being a Samsung phone, you do have yourself multitasking features. Now, I didn't find myself using the multitasking too much on this device particularly because it's kind of small and I really just don't like using multitasking on a smaller display. However, having it is still incredible when you need it. So it's still a nice feature to have. You can pop all these different windows. It's like you have a mini S23 Ultra here. You can do basically everything just on a smaller display that's not quite as high end, not quite as sharp, but still really good. In addition to that, you do have always on display on this phone. So that's quite nice as well. And you can tweak the lock screen clocks now. You can change different customizations to your lock screen. Pretty cool. And you can see some notifications here as well if you just click on that clock icon. So overall, just an incredible display experience. And I like how you can also hide the navigation bar, which I've done, which gives you a more seamless look at the bottom by the bezel. So just really good. I can't say enough about it. It's pretty good. I would say that if they wanted to offer a little bit more, they could sharpen up the display. But if it's going to mean worse battery life, I'll skip it. It's fine the way it is right now. Now, my experience in depth using the software. Well, I feel like One UI is getting to a point where it's not that hard to use. It's not too cluttered anymore. It's still overwhelming features for people who haven't used it before, but it's laid out very clean. And I think the average person, if they just spend a few minutes, could figure this out. I really like the modes and routines feature on here. I also do like that they have a set of advanced features in its own settings area. And I like some of the labs features like full screen split mode. You can do multi-windows for apps. I like how they're adding in these things. Also, motions and gestures. You can lift to wake the phone, double tap to turn the screen on and off. There's quite a few on here. And what I really like about One UI 5.1 is that, it's just super smooth. They're refining it, they're polishing it. And while some people might find their icons still not enjoyable, you can really tweak it out yourself. Just go to the theme store, figure out what you want, change up your icons, and do that. Some people might just not like the look of it overall still. But for me, this is one of the most polished Android experiences on the market. Now, I wouldn't say that it's cleaner looking than, I think, Pixel's UI, but it's still the most fun, like customizable, having extra features on top of Android out there, I feel like. So if you're that type of person who wants all the features all in one device, you're going to want to take a hard look at the S23 series, including the base model. If this fits in your hand nicely, as you can see, it kind of just fits in the hand beautifully. Also, I forgot to mention, having that slight curved edge there in this flat display means no accidental presses, means incredibly ergonomic feel in the palm right there. Also, one handing just feels good. It's not sharp in the corners, nothing like that. Quite honestly, if I'm being real with you, it kind of feels just like an iPhone, to be honest, of Android, if I'm being totally honest with you. Yeah, but anyway, having long software support on here is cool. I already got a software update for this. And I would say that if you really want to, be connected with Samsung services, you'll really enjoy this. This is going to be a really good experience for you if you're looking for that. That's definitely true. Also, having Android 13 means that you're on the latest software, as you should be when you get this phone. So that's also pretty good. And when it comes to the storage and the memory that they give on board here, I have 256 gigs available right here. You can get a little bit more, but I have the 256 gig model, and you'll pay a little bit more for 512, but there's no expandable memory. So that is still something I don't like. The Galaxies used to really offer that as a value proposition, expandable memory. Not really anymore, but yeah, pretty good. Now, since we were talking about software, I do want to make mention of performance because it's kind of related. Now, the performance of last year's S22 was just fine, pretty flawless as well. However, I just like the peace of mind of having the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. One thing I really noticed about this phone versus last year's is the heat management is much better. This phone never warms up, hence much more efficient. The S22 got quite hot in my experience. So this one is a far better CPU on a phone that just cleans up a little bit. This is kind of like a refinement, a polish year over the Galaxy S22. And the performance, I don't really have to go on and on. As a boss, we'll do some more speed tests with it, but it's doing incredible. It even beats the iPhone in wildlife and stuff like that. So incredible performance, even though this phone is only rocking 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's plenty enough for this device. It doesn't even use most of its memory most of the time. So I'm pretty happy there. Now, I took a ton of photos with this camera. We'll talk about the camera here. 50 megapixel plus 10 megapixel telephoto and a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Now, what I love about the Galaxy S23's camera is it's that perfect consumer camera. It's that camera that you just take a photo, you take a look and you're like, that looks amazing. I had an omelet this morning. Look at this omelet. Vibrant. I mean, probably more vibrant than it actually looked in real life, but I mean, take a look. So basically you get these photo results that are just easy. And it's got that, like I say, that perfect consumer type camera. Now, what's nice about this one too is you can also do up to 30 times zoom on this camera. So they're not really leaving you behind on the zoom too much versus the Ultra. Like if you actually need the extra zoom, you can go to the Ultra, but 30x is about where it stays sharp. So this is plenty enough. This is probably more than most people would use. So even on their basis model, they're giving you quite a bit of offering. Also, while you can't do 200 megapixel like the impressive S23 Ultra, you do get yourself 50 megapixel, which is still probably sharp enough to take some decent photos you can print out. Also, you can see 16:9 aspect ratios. They do have a ton of settings right here within camera that you don't have to leave the camera app to mess around with. Also, the video has got smoother this year. In addition to that, you do have 8K options up to 8K 30 now, not 8K 24. So really good there as well. Front-facing camera, I do think it's still too close to my face, especially in video. When we go to photo, it backs out quite a bit. I wish it would be about here in video. That would be a nice update on the next model. When we go to more, you'll see a ton of versatility here. Expert RAW, Pro RAW, night mode, food mode, panoramic mode, super slow motion, hyperlight. I mean, it goes on. And of course, you could take these night modes and things and you can put them down here. You can move these around to your own liking. So the customization of the Galaxy continues within the camera app itself. So some of my favorite are the food mode, the pro mode, night mode, photo modes. They're good. So enough talking about it. You can see it takes fast photos, takes sharp photos. The selfies look good. The color tones are nice. You can switch between them. You could tweak the face however you want it to look. Selfies are good. Within Instagram, camera samples have been looking pretty good as well. Take a look at my samples. Let me know your thoughts on the Galaxy S23's camera. So audio is also pretty good.
To $500 off, and you can get this with up to.
I just love how this phone, it puts a smile on my face how, you can get almost everything that really makes the S23 Ultra impressive on the Galaxy S23. When I just heard that audio right now, especially loud, and that's good. You don't want a speaker, turn on Dolby Atmos, it gets even louder.
1 terabyte of storage with multiple colorway options.
It's like you're getting a high-end phone, a super high-end phone, and you don't have to pay the price unless you just absolutely have to have that larger display. And if you want to go just a little bit more, but not quite S23 Ultra, just get the Plus. It's going to be pretty similar to this phone. This also has USB-C 3.2. It does have the 5.3 Bluetooth, so very fast to connect there. It does have Wi-Fi 6E, not Wi-Fi 7 introduced on OnePlus 11, but it does have some of the latest connectivity technologies. Samsung DeX allows this little phone that fits in your pocket to become a desktop computer. If you connect this to a monitor and a keyboard, you have yourself a desktop computer. That's pretty amazing. Also, the in-display fingerprint sensor has been excellent. And I also want to really talk about battery life here. Battery life on this phone has been much better than last year. I'm easily making it through a day. And I couldn't say that for prior, base model S21s, S22s. These phones make it through a full day now pretty easily without really making you too concerned about a charger. That's really good because a lot of times people feel like they have to go to the biggest phone to get that. Well, not anymore. And also the standby time is pretty good as well. It also charges pretty fast. Not the fastest, not even close to the fastest out there. It can do 25 watts, 50% in about 30 minutes. It's not going to be no, Xiaomi 13 Pro or OnePlus 11 speeds, but it's darn fast, enough for a lot of people. So I think it'll be just fine there. And also I should probably mention the phone call quality, because this is something that is also great on Samsung. Full bars everywhere. 5G performance is blazing quick. Just a really good phone overall. So is there any cons? Because it sounds like I'm just praising it all the way to the bank. I would say the only con with this is if you had a S22, it's not a major upgrade for you. If you had an S21, I think it's a pretty nice upgrade. Another thing is that it's not really revolutionary. It's just another slab smartphone, so it's probably not too exciting. But I think if you just want a really good, standard every year upgrade or every 2-year, 3-year upgrade, you're going to be very happy with this phone. And last con is Samsung phones, even though they're really good devices, they don't sell for a lot on resale. So if you're looking for a resale, this is probably not the phone for you. It doesn't hold its value quite as well as a competing iPhone, for example. I don't even know if it holds it as well as a Pixel. I would have to look more into that. But yeah, it's not going to be the greatest resale unless you sell it back to Samsung for a trade-in on their next device. So thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy S23. It's a definite win. It's a definite pickup. I would recommend it 100%. If you want to try out the Samsung ecosystem, you want to try out, just different feel from a phone that doesn't have a lot of features, this might be one for you to try out. Thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well. Catch you all in the S23 Plus review, and peace.